He stole an ancient necklace from a mermaid. Now the ocean demands his soul. In the heart of the African coast, where the waves whisper secrets and the moonlight dances on the water, a man's greed awakens an age-old curse. What seemed like a beautiful treasure soon becomes a haunting nightmare. The ocean stirs, calling him deeper and deeper into its cold embrace, where shadows move beneath the surface and the line between life and death fades. Will he escape the siren's wrath, or will the ocean claim him forever? On a quiet evening along the African coastline, the sun was setting with a golden glow that painted the sky in warm colors. As the waves gently kissed the sandy shore, a man named Kofi wandered alone, searching for anything unusual the ocean might have left behind. His eyes caught a strange sparkle near a cluster of rocks. Curious, he stepped closer and found an ancient necklace lying half buried in the sand. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, woven with shimmering shells and adorned with a glowing blue gem that seemed to pulse with life. Kofi felt a strange pull, as if the necklace was calling to him. Without hesitation, he picked it up, marveling at its beauty and power. But little did he know, this necklace was not just a treasure. It belonged to a mermaid, guardian of the ocean's secrets. As he slipped it around his neck, a cold breeze swept over the shore and the water near him began to churn mysteriously. Unseen eyes watched from beneath the waves, waiting. This was the beginning of a curse that would change Kofi's life forever. After taking the necklace, Kofi returned to his village, feeling both proud and uneasy. The necklace's blue gem glowed softly in the moonlight, casting an eerie shimmer around him. He showed it to his friends, who admired its beauty but warned him of old stories. Tales of treasures taken from the ocean that brought misfortune. That night, strange things began to happen. The ocean's waves grew louder, crashing against the shore with unusual force. Kofi dreamed of haunting melodies sung by a voice both beautiful and terrifying. When he woke, the necklace felt heavier around his neck, as if it had a life of its own. He tried to take it off, but the clasp wouldn't budge. Fear crept into his heart. The villagers whispered that the necklace belonged to a mermaid who protected the ocean's secrets. Stealing it would awaken her wrath. Kofi realized the treasure was more than just an object. It was a powerful link to a world he did not understand. The ocean was watching him closely, and its demand was clear. Return the necklace, or suffer the consequences. The nights grew darker and colder as Kofi's unease deepened. One evening, while walking alone on the beach, he heard a haunting song carried by the wind. Soft, yet filled with sorrow and anger. The melody seemed to come from the ocean itself, wrapping around him like a cold embrace. Suddenly, the waves began to rise higher, crashing wildly against the rocks. From the depths, a shadowy figure emerged, an ethereal mermaid with eyes glowing like the blue gem on the necklace. Her voice echoed, "Return what you have stolen, or the ocean will claim your soul." Kofi's heart pounded with fear, but also awe. He wanted to apologize, to give back the necklace, but the clasp remained locked tight around his neck. He was trapped. The mermaid's image faded with the retreating tide, but her warning stayed with him, clear and unyielding. Kofi knew that the ocean's patience was running thin. If he did not find a way to undo his mistake, the curse would consume him, dragging him into the cold depths forever. Days after the mermaid's warning, the sky over Kofi's village darkened with thick clouds. The once calm ocean began to roar like a wild beast, its waves crashing violently against the shore. Fishermen hurried to secure their boats, and villagers gathered nervously along the beach, watching the furious sea. Kofi stood alone at the water's edge, the cursed necklace heavy around his neck. The air was thick with tension, and an eerie silence settled just before the storm broke. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the churning water as if revealing secrets hidden beneath. He could feel the ocean's anger pulsing through the ground beneath his feet. It was as if the sea itself wanted something, wanted the necklace back. The storm's howl drowned out all other sounds, but Kofi heard a faint voice carried on the wind, singing the same haunting melody from before. It was a reminder, a demand. The ocean was no longer just a place of beauty. It had become a force of vengeance. Kofi's fate was tied to its fury, and he knew that soon the curse would reach beyond warnings and become unstoppable. After the storm passed, an eerie calm settled over the African coastline, but Kofi felt no relief. At night, he heard soft whispers carried by the ocean breeze, voices that seemed to come from beneath the waves. These voices spoke in a language he didn't understand, filled with sorrow and warning. Kofi would sit by the shore listening to the faint murmurs as the moonlight danced on the water's surface. Sometimes the whispers formed words calling his name, reminding him of the debt he owed to the sea. One night the water glowed with a strange blue light, and shapes moved just beneath the surface. Figures of shadow and mist, neither fully human nor fully fish. The mermaid's presence felt stronger, haunting his every step. Kofi's heart ached with fear and guilt. He realized the ocean was alive with spirits angered by his theft. The curse was no longer distant. It had entered his life, blending the world of the living with the mysterious depths. Every whisper beneath the waves was a reminder. The ocean would not rest until the necklace was returned. The once lively African village grew silent, shadowed by fear and superstition. Whispers spread like wildfire, tales of curses, restless spirits, and an angry ocean punishing those who dared to steal from it. Villagers avoided the shore, afraid of the wrath that seemed to grow stronger each day. Kofi became a figure of suspicion. Some said he had brought a terrible curse upon them all. Children stopped playing near the beach, and fishermen stayed ashore, their faces pale with dread. One evening, the village elder called a meeting. With a grave voice, he warned that the ocean's anger could only be quelled by returning the stolen treasure. He urged Kofi to do what was right, to save not only himself but the entire village from destruction. But Kofi felt trapped by the necklace's magic. He was torn between fear and pride, unsure if he could break the curse alone. As the villagers' fear grew, so did the ocean's power, reminding everyone that some ancient forces should never be disturbed. The time for choice was near. Would Kofi face the ocean's fury or be lost beneath its waves forever? One moonless night, as Kofi lay restless in his hut, a soft, haunting melody floated through the air. The sound was unlike anything he had ever heard, sweet, sorrowful, and full of warning. Drawn by the music, Kofi stepped outside and found himself by the shore, bathed in silver moonlight hidden behind clouds. There, standing at the water's edge, was the mermaid. Her eyes glowing with a mysterious light, her voice trembling with sorrow and anger. She spoke without words, her song telling of a curse that would deepen if the necklace was not returned soon. Her gaze pierced through Kofi's soul, warning him of the doom that awaited if he ignored her plea. Though afraid, Kofi felt an overwhelming sadness. He understood that this was not just punishment, but a desperate cry for justice from the ocean's guardian. The night visit left Kofi shaken but also determined. He had to find a way to undo the wrong he had done. The mermaid vanished with the rising tide, leaving behind only the echo of her warning in the crashing waves. The next day, Kofi sought out the village elder, hoping to find answers to the mermaid's warning. The elder, a wise woman with deep knowledge of the ocean and its spirits, listened carefully as Kofi recounted his night encounter. She told him a tale passed down through generations, about a powerful mermaid who guarded a sacred necklace, said to hold the soul of the ocean itself. The necklace was a gift from the sea spirits to the people, meant to protect their waters and keep the balance between land and ocean. But long ago, a greedy man stole the necklace, breaking the sacred trust and angering the ocean's guardian. Since then, misfortune had followed anyone who dared take the treasure. The elder warned that the curse would only be lifted if the necklace was returned before the next full moon, when the ocean's power reached its peak. Otherwise, the sea would claim Kofi's soul, dragging him into its depths forever. Kofi realized the weight of his actions and the urgency of the task ahead. He had to face the ocean and the mermaid, and hope for mercy. Kofi couldn't forget the elder's words. The curse was not just a punishment, but a consequence of greed. The necklace had been stolen from a sacred bond between humans and the ocean, a bond meant to protect and respect nature's gifts. As days passed, strange things began to happen. Fish vanished from the village's nets, crops withered under an unrelenting sun, and the ocean's waves seemed to whisper warnings of doom. The villagers' fear grew, their anger simmering toward Kofi for disturbing the ancient balance. Kofi's nights were haunted by visions of the mermaid, her eyes filled with sorrow and disappointment. He realized that the ocean's wrath was fueled by broken trust, a lesson learned too late. To make things right, Kofi knew he had to give up the necklace, no matter the cost. The temptation to keep the beautiful, glowing treasure was strong, but the price of greed was far greater. With a heavy heart, Kofi prepared for the journey to return the necklace to the ocean depths, hoping the mermaid's forgiveness would save him and his village. Kofi stood at the edge of the rocky shore, clutching the sacred necklace tightly in his hand. The ocean before him was dark and endless, whispering secrets no one dared to hear. With a deep breath, he stepped into the cold water, feeling the waves pull him deeper with each step. The further he went, the colder and darker it became. Shadows danced beneath the surface, strange shapes gliding silently in the depths. The ocean's pull was both frightening and mesmerizing, as if it was guiding him toward a destiny he couldn't escape. Kofi's heart pounded with fear and hope. He knew this journey was his only chance to break the curse and save his village. As he sank beneath the waves, the world above faded away, replaced by an underwater realm of shimmering lights and haunting silence. The abyss called to him, a place where few dared to tread, ruled by the mysterious forces of the sea. With every stroke, Kofi moved closer to the ocean's heart, where the mermaid and the fate of his soul awaited. Deeper and deeper, Kofi swam into the glowing underwater world, where coral castles and shimmering fish surrounded him. Suddenly the water grew still, and in the distance a figure emerged, tall, graceful, and otherworldly. It was the mermaid, the ocean's guardian, her eyes reflecting the endless depths of the sea. She approached silently, her presence both terrifying and beautiful. Kofi's heart raced, but he held out the necklace, the proof of his repentance. The mermaid's gaze was steady, searching for truth in his eyes. With a voice like the whispering tide, she spoke of the ocean's pain and betrayal, the sacred trust broken by greed. Kofi listened, feeling the weight of his actions and the sorrow in her words. She warned that forgiveness was not guaranteed. The ocean's justice was swift and final. Summoning all his courage, Kofi begged for mercy, promising to return the necklace and restore balance. For a long moment, the mermaid stared, then slowly nodded, accepting his plea. The ocean's guardian had given him one last chance, but the final choice was still his to make. Kofi stood at the ocean's heart, the necklace glowing softly in his palm. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on him. Behind him, the world he knew, his village, his family, depended on his choice. The mermaid watched silently, her eyes filled with ancient wisdom and quiet power. To return the necklace meant surrender, giving up something precious to restore harmony. But to keep it meant risking the curse, the ocean's wrath, and the loss of everything he loved. For a moment, temptation whispered in his ear, promising power and riches beyond dreams. But Kofi saw the truth beyond the glitter. The price of greed was too high, too painful. With steady hands and a resolute heart, he dropped the necklace into the glowing depths. The water shimmered as the ocean accepted the offering, and a wave of peace swept over Kofi. The mermaid smiled softly, her form blending with the currents, a guardian once more at rest. Kofi knew the curse was lifted, but the journey had changed him forever. He swam upward, ready to face his village, no longer as a thief, but as a man who had made peace with the ocean. Kofi broke through the water's surface, gasping for air as the sunlight warmed his face. The ocean seemed calmer now, its endless waves gently rocking the shore. He clutched the empty space where the necklace had been, feeling a strange mix of loss and relief. The journey had been perilous, but Kofi was alive, and the curse had lifted. As he walked toward the village, the salty breeze carried whispers of hope and forgiveness. Children played near the water's edge, and elders gathered under the shade of ancient baobab trees. Kofi's heart pounded with both fear and anticipation. Would the villagers believe he had faced the ocean's wrath and returned? Would they forgive him for stealing what was never his? He knew he had changed. The ocean had taught him humility, respect, and courage. Now, Kofi hoped to share that lesson with his people. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The time for healing had come. Kofi stood before the village elders, their faces stern and eyes filled with suspicion. Whispers rippled through the crowd as everyone waited for his explanation. He took a deep breath and told the story of the stolen necklace, the ocean's curse, and his journey to make things right. Some villagers listened with disbelief, others with anger. How could he have been so reckless? But as Kofi spoke of the mermaid's warning and the sacrifice he made, a change began to spread. The eldest among them, a wise woman with silver hair, stepped forward. She nodded slowly, acknowledging Kofi's courage and honesty. "The ocean tests us all," she said, "but it also forgives those who seek to heal." Slowly, the village's judgment softened into understanding. Kofi was no longer just the boy who took what wasn't his. He was a man who faced the unknown and chose redemption. The village began to heal, the fear lifting like morning mist. Kofi felt the weight of the curse lift from his shoulders, replaced by the warmth of acceptance. With the village's blessing, Kofi felt a new strength growing inside him. The ocean's curse was gone, but its lessons stayed deeply in his heart. He knew his life would never be the same, and he welcomed this change. The villagers gathered to celebrate the end of the curse, lighting fires and singing ancient songs. Kofi stood among them, feeling the warmth of community and forgiveness surround him. He looked out at the ocean, its waves sparkling under the moonlight, a reminder of the journey that had changed everything. Kofi vowed to protect the sea and respect its mysteries. He became a storyteller, sharing the tale of the stolen necklace and the ocean's mercy. Through his words, the village learned to live in harmony with the water, honoring the spirits that watched over them. The once feared ocean was now a symbol of balance and respect, and Kofi's story became a legend, passed down from generation to generation. In the heart of Africa, where the land meets the sea, a new beginning was born, one of hope, courage, and redemption.